Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and almost every morning between 6 and 6:30, if about 20 feet to the right of where we just took off, if I look across the field, I can see what looks like people with flashlights looking for something, and they're not evenly spread out, and sometimes there's 2, sometimes 3, and it looks, they look like flashlights. They have a yellowish tint to them, and and so I thought, what's going on? It also is like they're behind some bushes, because as they move horizontally, you can see where the light goes in and out and so forth. And I have no idea what it really is. So I thought, well, I'm going to fly over here and take a look at what there is. And are they on this side of the canal or on the other side of the canal? And it's got me confused. And the more I think about it, I think maybe they're on the other side of the canal after having made this flight. But I didn't fly over there far enough to really see if there was anything going on. So anyway, that's what this flight is for, is I wanted to see what it was over here or where they could possibly be, because they're behind, it's like they're behind bushes, and there's no bushes on this side of that canal, but there's lots of bushes on the other side. So I might have to make another flight and get up to a little higher altitude so I don't run into those power lines and take a look. Well, anyway, so that's why I flew out here, and of course I really didn't find out anything, so I'll have to do it again. But I promised in my last video where I told about my wife and I bringing the Harley up out of Hell's Canyon and then going to Joseph, Oregon, to rest and recover from the trial. And if you haven't watched that video, I'll put a link to it. Anyway, so I was going to tell 2 stories, but as it turns out, I ran out of time. So I'll finish the story, and this has to do with flying my airplane into Joseph, Oregon. Now, I put a map up. Here's Joseph, Oregon, in the area around there, and there's Wallowa Lake, which is this is eastern Oregon, by the way, and so it's beautiful country, and there's that nice lake, and there's a campground there. But Joseph is an old-fashioned town. They've even kept the western look. It's just a one-street town, or it was back then. Might have changed by now, but it's a tourist town, and so it's lined with shops for souvenirs and restaurants and things like that. And we've brought home souvenirs from it, because not only did we go up there on the motorcycle, but more than once. But when I got my plane, we flew up there several times, and I'd take friends, and we'd go up there, and they always enjoyed it. Then I took my family, and well, there's one day, and by the way, on Wednesdays at noon, they always had a reenactment of the bank robbery that took place back in the 1800s. And so everybody lines up along the street, and here come these 3 cowboys in the town on their horses, and they just slowly ride up to the bank, which is the original bank, and they tie their horses up and go on in, and pretty soon you hear gunshots, and the guys come running out, and they run to get on their horses, and one of the guy gets shot, and it was kind of fun to watch. But it was all put on, and it was every Wednesday at noon. Now, I don't know if they do it anymore or not. Well, anyway, so there's one day I took my family up there, my wife and I and 2 young children, and as we were flying there, we could see that there was a forest fire. There was smoke coming up, and it was coming up from the mountains just to the southwest of where Joseph is located, and so it wasn't real close by. So anyway, we landed, and by the way, the airport, as you could see on the picture there, the airport is about 100 feet lower at the north end than it is at the south end. And the rule is always take off downhill. And I made a mistake one other time in another video. I talked about it, but you'd think I'd learned my lesson. So that day we got there, and the smoke, there was this terrible smell of the smoke, and it didn't smell like a campfire. It was, because when you have a forest fire, it burns all the brush and all the foliage and stuff like that. So it wasn't a pleasant smell. But we went ahead and did our shopping and had our fun and enjoyed being there. And then when it came time to leave and go home, and by the way, it was a pleasant walk, about a mile from the airport to town. So we walked back to the airport, and see, now this is where I thought they were when I originally took off with the drone, because it looks like they're over here somewhere, but there's not enough bushes for them to be behind something. So I think after studying things a little bit, I'm going to have to make another flight. Well, anyway, so we got back to the plane, and we were looking forward to getting out of there. Well, as we got to the plane, it felt like, the windsock showed that the wind was blowing from the south to the north, and of course you should always take off into the wind, and so I thought, well, I'll have to take off uphill, but I think I'll go ahead and take off uphill because, it's kind of a good thing to do, and the airport isn't that steep. So anyway, taxied down to the north end and it started taking off, and we got up to 200 or 300 feet. And because of, forest fires have strange, winds blowing every which way in every direction. And so as we climbed, we got to 200 or 300 feet. And then all of a sudden, we got into a downdraft as we got closer to the mountain where the fire was. And so, I kept it in full power, and I kept nosing up as much as I could. I had 2 notches of flaps, and I told my family, lean forward, everybody lean forward, because we were dropping. And so I started, we were going over farm country, fields and stuff, but there was power lines that run, to the fields and so forth. So I just gradually turned, because we were like skimming over the tops of the power lines. Maybe we're 50, 60 feet above the ground. And I don't know how we made it, but anyway, we just gradually turned around and headed north. And the further we got north, the more the aircraft became airborne. And we didn't go up very fast because the downdraft seemed to be following us. But anyway, we made it. But again, I broke the rules. Instead of taking off downhill, I tried taking off uphill, and just almost killed my family and ruined my plane. And so that's the story I promised. And maybe I'll do another flight here one of these days and check out what's beyond those power lines, and see if I can figure more out about the strange lights off in the distance. Well, I want to thank you for watching. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and God bless.